السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت السميع العليم. Last week we completed Ghazwat Tabouk, and the fact that the Prophet ﷺ reached there and Herakl and the Romans did not come to him. So the whole Arabia heard of it, and now the power of Islam has shown, and it's getting even better. SubhanAllah, the Prophet, while he was waiting for the Romans to come, he conquered as well a lot of territory around Tabouk, so the whole area started becoming Muslim, or agreed to pay the jizya and got a treaty with the Muslims. Now, on the way back from Tabouk, as we know, every ghazwa the Prophet ﷺ used to go were nearby, close distance, except Banu al-Mustaliq and this one Tabouk. And on those two occasions on the way back, some events happened that are important in our seerah. And one of these, because this one is linked a lot to al-Munafiqeen, Ghazwat Tabouk was a complete exposure to the hypocrites. So the whole event from leaving to returning to aftermath is very crucial to understand hypocrites and how they think and what's their effect on Islam. Now, on their way back to Medina, the Prophet ﷺ told his Sahaba, the whole army. So of course within them were still some of the Munafiqeen, but the whole army were told, we will be passing now next onto a little spring. They call it in Arabic al-washal, which is like a little rock that drips water. And there's a little part collected in a little kind of a rock again part. So he said, whoever reaches it first, do not touch it until I get there. Everybody knew. SubhanAllah, some of the Munafiqeen decided to rush first. And they got there and took all the water away, drank it, and left just whatever's dripping from the rock still continuous. When the Prophet ﷺ arrived, he saw that. And he looked and said, may Allah curse them. Did I not order no one to touch it until I come? And he ordered the Sahaba, he said, gather me whatever you have of water. So they got him some water, and he started making wudu over that little rock that's dripping. And Sahaba said, we heard noises like thunder coming out from this rock as he was making wudu, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And suddenly, the rock cracked and water flowed out of it into a proper spring. And the Prophet ﷺ repeated, said, may Allah curse them. Wallahi, if they left that water, it would have been a river feeding the whole Arabia. But subhanAllah, Allah has decreed something different. And up till now, if you look at Tabouk and the whole surrounding area, it's all green. If people who go there who know Tabouk and that area, it's all green from this little water spring, which is kind of a small-ish river, but could have been something bigger. But disobedience, subhanAllah, counts a lot. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Wallahi, if you live long, you will see this valley more fertile than any area surrounding it. And that's what I'm saying now. If you go there, it's all green and fertile. SubhanAllah. Sadaqta ya Rasulullah. Again, on the way back, the Sahaba, of course, were riding. One of the Sahaba called Abu Rahm, he started getting dozing off on his camel. And his camel started, kind of veering on the side. And subhanAllah, suddenly he said, I woke up hearing a noise of metal hissing. The noise. And he looked, and his camel has caught the Prophet ﷺ foot and cut his foot. So he pulled back. And they say, Sahaba said, it happened again. Prophet ﷺ hit him with his whip. Wake up. So he was scared. I heard the Prophet ﷺ now. So he pulled back to the rear of the army, all the way to the back. When they decided to camp, as usual, they camp every step. They have a rest. Abu Raham said, as soon as they settled, I took the cattle and went away. He ran away, didn't want to see the Prophet ﷺ angry with him. He took the cattle, as a shepherd, finished, came back to the camp, saw his friends, how's things? Did anybody ask about me? He said, yes, the Prophet ﷺ asked about you. He said, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Now, the Prophet is angry. He feared that Allah has revealed something against him for hurting the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ, when he saw him, he said, Oh Abu Raham, you hurt me. He said, Ya Rasulullah, please forgive me and ask Allah to forgive me. Do istighfar for me. He said, Ya Abu Raham, I hurt you too. Take my whip and hit me as I hit you. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's his fairness. Get it in life. Don't wait till akhirah. Abu Raham said, Ya Rasulullah, how can I hit you? I hurt you first, so I deserve it. He said, no, you hit me. He said, no, wallahi, I will not hit you. So the Prophet ﷺ gave him some amount of money from the booties as a reward. And he said, take this as a reward for your sabr. And Abu Raham said, wallahi, I kept seeing the barakah of that little money that I first ever to earn during Islam as proper. He said, it kept me going for a long, long time with its barakah. Subhanallah. And they said, Abu Raham was from one of the tribes called Ghafar, which has, again, different little tribes around them. He said, oh Abu Raham, who did not come with us, or who stayed behind from your troop, from your tribe? And he started telling them, the ones, to start counting few people. And the Prophet ﷺ said, no, I'm going to ask you about the tall ones. You have a tribe of yours that have tall people, and another tribe that have short people, another tribe that are dark-skinned. So he started telling him about the branches of his tribe, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Abu Rahab started telling him about them, and when he said, the short ones are Aslam, Banu Aslam. And the Prophet ﷺ gave him a lesson to pass on to his tribe. He said, wallahi, it hurts me if the following people do not come with me. Al-Muhajirin, Wal-Ansar, and Ghafar, and Aslam. He wanted to pass a message how close they are to his heart, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to put their love of Islam in their hearts as well. But Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did say that that's their status to him. Now, at night, that same night, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud woke up at night, and it's narrated in the Sahih that I woke up and I heard noises of digging in the ground. So I got out to see what's happening. And while Abu Bakr and Umar were digging a grave, and the Prophet ﷺ standing next to them, preparing a body. And then they dug a grave. Prophet ﷺ went down in the grave, while Umar and Abu Bakr handed the body down. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, I heard the Prophet saying, O Allah, I have reached this stage with this man, and I am pleased with him. So please be pleased with him. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, at that stage, I wished I was that person being buried, if the Prophet was making that dua for him. And it was one of the Sahaba called Dhul Bujadain. He was called that name because he was tortured badly in Mecca before Hijrah. He was so poor. When he wanted to make the Hijrah, he could not have anything clothes-wise. He had like very thick wool cover, that, like a duvet in our terms now. He tore it in two pieces, wrapped one around him and one on his shoulders, and he made the Hijrah. And that part used to be called Bujad, that woolen cover. So he was Dhul Bujadain, 2 pieces, radiyallahu anh. And he was buried, and we have a proof that the Prophet ﷺ made dua for him. Next day, they started moving. As they were coming back, the Prophet ﷺ said to the troops, you stay back, carry on moving, no one follows me. He took only 2 of the Sahaba with him, Ammar ibn Yasir and Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman. And he went up onto a hill that has like an edge cliff, like we see in the cliffs of Dover and the southeastern areas, just a high cliff and then they're cut off. And he stood up there and he was watching the whole troops passing by, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Some of the hypocrites from one of the tribes saw him and they gathered. And in the narration it says there are 14 of them. And they said, Wallahi, you will never see him alone like this. Let's go up and push him off the cliff. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They wanted to assassinate the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Clear. So they start moving and they went behind. Suddenly, Hudhayfa ibn Yaman is describing that and he said, I saw anger in the face of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He didn't know why. And when he looked, he saw people coming and they were covered their faces so they're not known who they are. He thought that the Prophet ﷺ was angry because they disobeyed him and followed him, because he said, no one follows me. So he didn't know what's happening. So Hudhayfa ibn Yaman, out of respect to the Prophet that they disobeyed, he ran after them, tell them return back to the troops, don't disobey the Prophet. So they ran away. When he came back, the Prophet ﷺ said, O Hudhayfa, do you know what they wanted? Hudhayfa said, no, Ya Rasulullah. He said, they wanted to push me off this cliff. Hudhayfa ibn Yaman said, do you want me to get them? Rasulullah said, do you know who they are? He said, no. So he named them for him one by one. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Hudhayfa said, do you want me to send to their tribes and ask each head of a tribe to get that man and kill them as treason? He said, no, I don't want the Arabs to say that Muhammad kills his companions. So Hudhayfa ibn Yaman was the one who kept the secret of the Prophet of those names. And they say that Prophet ﷺ told him names of other hypocrites. So after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, anybody who died, if Hudhayfa was present, if he doesn't stand up to pray on the janazah, no one will. They know that this is a hypocrite. If they see Hudhayfa standing up, preparing to pray, they would go. So he was the one who kept the secret, we say, Katim Sir al-Rasul alayhi salatu wassalam. And in this event, Allah revealed in Al-Quran, Surah Tawbah, again chapter 9, as I said last time, Surah Tawbah is almost all about the Munafiqeen and Ghazwat Tabouk. He said in verses 73 and 74, يا أيها النبي جاهد الكفار والمنافقين واغلظ عليهم ومأواهم جهنم وبئس المصير. O Prophet of Allah, strive hard against the unbelievers and the hypocrites and be firm against them, be tough. واغلظ عليهم. They will end in hell, and it is the worst of the refuge. يحلفون بالله, they swear by Allah, ما قالوا ولقد قالوا كلمة الكفر وكفروا بعد إسلامهم وهموا بما لم ينالوا وما نقموا إلا أن أغناهم الله ورسوله من فضله فإن يتوبوا يك خيرا لهم وإن يتولوا يعذبهم الله عذابا أليما في الدنيا والآخرة وما لهم في الأرض من ولي ولا نصير. They say يحلفون بالله, they swear by Allah, we did not say it. What is that? And Allah said, but indeed they have said it, the word of kufr. They have been clearly kuffar. بعد إسلامهم, after they became Muslim. That's why the kufr of nifaq, after they become Muslim. وَهَمُّوا بِمَا لَمْ يَنَالُوا, and they went on to try and do what they could not do, and that is assassinating the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the word of kufr is, let us kill Muhammad, in that relation. Of course, and they have not become against you after Allah has given them wealth and His Prophet ﷺ from the wealth of Allah. So if they return and do tawbah, it will be better for them. And if they turn away, Allah will punish them the worst punishment in dunya and in akhirah, in the day of judgment. And they will not have any protector or supporter on earth. So this is Revelation describing what happened during that return. This is why we say it's important what happens sometimes on the way back, because even the Quran is linked to it. Muhammad ﷺ, on the last stop before they reached Medina, he sent 2 of the Sahaba in a very strange task, which is unusual for us to hear of. 2 Sahaba called Malik ibn Dukhsham and Ma'ad ibn Adi. He asked them to go to Medina and before they talk to anybody, burn down a masjid. That masjid was built by the hypocrites, Masjid Dirar. And they were building it for the sake of getting a place to gather. Their leader, who was not a Muslim, we heard about him before in Ghazwat Uhud, was called Abu Amir al-Rahib, or so-called Prophet ﷺ nicknamed Abu Amir al-Fasiq, one who does not have religion. He's the one who dug all these big holes in Uhud, one of which the Prophet fell in. He sent to the munafiqeen, hypocrites in Medina, said, build a mosque. It's a place of worship. I will come to you, I will pretend to be a Muslim, and then we can plot what we want from within Medina. They completed the build of the masjid just as the Prophet was preparing to go to Tabouk. And they came to him, O Prophet, Ya Allah, please come to us, pray in this masjid, let the barakah and the blessings of Allah come into it. This is a masjid like every other masjid. He said, now I'm busy with Tabouk. When I come back, Allah will do what He wishes. And Allah told the Prophet ﷺ that this is what we call Masjid Dirar. It's a masjid for bad doing, not for taqwa. So the Prophet ﷺ sent those 2 Sahaba to burn down this masjid. They went, rushed in front of the army, went to Medina straight away to that mosque and put light to it. Munafiqeen came to him, what are you doing? This is a mosque, that's a masjid. Said, these are the orders of the Prophet ﷺ. No one could say anything. And in this again, Surah Tawbah, which is again chapter 9, verses 107 to 110. This is in relation to this. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم والذين اتخذوا مسجدا ضرارا وكفرا وتفريقا بين المؤمنين وإرصادا لمن حارب الله ورسوله من قبل وليحلفن إن أردنا إلا الحسنى والله يشهد إنهم لكاذبون. Those who have put up a masjid, a mosque, for mischief and infidelity, to disunite the believers, that was their purpose. And in preparation for war against Allah, want to prepare for Abu Amir al-Rahib to come to them. They will indeed swear that their intention is nothing but good. That's why they're swearing. But Allah does declare that they are certainly liars. Alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullah. لا تقم فيه أبدا لمسجد أسس على التقوى من أول يوم أحق أن تقوم فيه رجال يحبون أن يتطهروا والله يحب المطهرين. Don't stand in that mosque ever. The mosque that is built on taqwa and piety from the first day, which is, say, Masjid Quba, is better than you stand and pray in him than this one. In that masjid, the first one, which is Masjid Quba, are people who love to be pure, and Allah loves the pure ones. أفمن أسس بنيانه على تقوى من الله ورضوان خير أم من أسس بنيانه على شفا جرف هار فانهار به في نار جهنم والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. Who is better? The ones who have built their building on piety and fear of Allah and pleasure of Allah, are they better? Or the ones who built their building on an edge of a cliff, so it fell with them into Jahannam? And Allah does not guide the ones who are oppressor. لا يزال بنيانهم الذي بنوا ريبة في قلوبهم إلا أن تقطع قلوبهم والله عليم حكيم. And the foundation of those who built will never be free from suspicion. They were still hypocrites. And there is suspicion in their hearts until their hearts are cut to pieces. And Allah is all-knowing and wise, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, in that last station, the Fajr next morning, they were about to prepare to leave. They got up to pray Fajr. The Prophet ﷺ was not there. They stayed and waited, Prophet not there. So they started delegating amongst each others. Should we pray without the Prophet ﷺ before the Fajr and sunrise, or should we wait for the Prophet ﷺ to pray with him? And they started debating. And the Sahaba, most of them said, no, we have been ordered to pray on time. So we should pray better than wait for the Prophet ﷺ. And they asked Abdul Rahman ibn Auf to lead, and he was the Imam and he led the prayer, radiyallahu anhu. And as they started prayer, they finished the first rak'ah. In the second rak'ah, the Prophet ﷺ came and saw them, so he prayed in the back row, in the back. As they finished the prayer, they saw the Prophet turn, and the Prophet ﷺ stood up to finish his second rak'ah. And they were all now afraid. Oh, have we disobeyed the Prophet? Is Allah going to be pleased or disappointed with us? What have we done now? And the Prophet ﷺ finished the prayer, did the salam, and said, you have done the right thing. أحسنتم وأصبتم. That's what he said. And then he looked at them and said, did I not tell you before that the day of judgment will not come until one of you leads the prayer with their Prophet, the Prophet behind? And he told them that before. And subhanAllah, this is one of the signs that Qiyamah will come. And Prophet ﷺ, when they asked him, he said, you've done the right thing, because Salah is fard rather than waiting for me. And then he told them again, there are people in Medina sitting in their homes. Wallahi, you have not gone up a hill or down a valley, except they got the same reward as you have taken from Allah. They said, Ya Rasulullah, and they are in their homes? They said, yes. They were stopped for a reason. They have a true reason, Allah knows. Sick, ill, and there are people who are crying, could not have the finances to come. They were crying, wanting to come, but they couldn't. Those are the people who have an excuse. They have the same ajr as all of the ones who attended and went there. And the scholars say that, of course, it's all in relation to your niyyah. If you have good niyyah, good intention, you get the reward. If you have a bad intention, you will get the bad deed. Even if you don't do it. If you don't do the bad, if you have a bad deed, the bad niyyah, and you don't do it, you might get ajr, inshallah, according to hadith. If you have good niyyah and you do it, you get multiplied. If you don't do it, you get still a reward for having the good intention. Then Muhammad ﷺ finally arrived to Medina with his Sahaba. And as soon as he arrived, everybody who stayed behind started rushing to him and making excuses. Oh Rasulullah, I had my family. Oh Rasulullah, I had a headache. Allahu A'lam what excuses they put. And the Prophet ﷺ said, you go, that's fine. He accepted their excuses because he knew that there was no benefit from them being with him. When he arrived, he found that there were 7 men from the Sahaba who tied themselves to the pillars of the mosque, which used to be just one of the tree, the trunk. And they said, Wallahi, we will not leave until the Prophet ﷺ himself untie us. And Sayyidina Muhammad ﷺ said, Wallahi, I will not untie them until Allah forgives them. It's not up to him here. It's Allah who has decided they have to obey or not. And after a while, subhanAllah, Allah revealed in Surah Tawbah, verse 102, وآخرون اعترفوا بذنوبهم خلطوا عملا صالحا وآخر سيئا عسى الله أن يتوب عليهم إن الله غفور رحيم. And others who have acknowledged that they have done wrong. They've mixed a good deed with a bad deed. When you say عسى الله, we say perhaps Allah will forgive them, but the ulama and tafsir of the Quran say when Allah says عسى in the Quran, it means it is happening or it has happened. So Allah has forgiven them. Of course, Allahu A'lam, but this is a tafsir. Allah has forgiven them, for Allah is all forgiving and most merciful, subhanahu wa ta'ala. As a gratitude for this, they went, they got all their wealth and gave it to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, take this as sadaqah. This is all we own, because it was because of this we did not go. Please take it as sadaqah. And the Prophet ﷺ said, no, I have not been ordered to take your money. Allah forgave you, it's up to Allah. So they kept insisting on him taking that money from them. So Allah revealed again in Surah Tawbah, just the verses that follow, 103, 104, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ إِنَّ صَلَاتَكَ سَكَنٌ لَهُمْ وَاللَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Take from their goods, as part of it, of their goods and their money, sadaqah, just some money from it, just to purify them, تُطَهِّرُهُمْ. And pray for them, make dua for them, because your prayers is good for them and gives them peace and comfort. So Allah is asking the Prophet to make dua for them as well. And Allah is one who is all-knowing. أَلَمْ يَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ يَقْبَلُ التَّوْبَةَ عَنْ عِبَادِهِ وَيَأْخُذُ الصَّدَقَاتِ وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ. Don't they know that Allah does accept repentance and accepts the sadaqah as well? And Allah is all forgiving and merciful. Once they did that, everybody from the Sahaba, of course, the hypocrites kept coming and finding all the excuses until one of the Sahaba came, Ka'b ibn Malik. And this is narrated in most of the Sahih, and the narration of Sahih al-Bukhari is that when I arrived, he went to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, I have no excuse. Wallahi, I was never wealthier than the day that you were about to go to Tabouk. Never healthier than the time you wanted to go to Tabouk. I have no excuse. The Prophet ﷺ looked at the Sahaba around him and said, as for this one, he has spoken the truth. Now this is clear that everybody else was lying about the hypocrites. So this one has no excuse, and he came, admitted it. And from there, the Prophet ﷺ said, go away, I'm not going to forgive you, I'll leave it for Allah. Wait for Allah. And the Surah Tawbah in chapter 9, verse 106, it says, وَآخَرُونَ مُرْجَوْنَ لِأَمْرِ اللَّهِ إِمَّا يُعَذِّبُهُمْ وَإِمَّا يَتُوبُ عَلَيْهِمْ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ حَكِيمٌ. And there are others that are held and suspended to waiting the command of Allah. Either He will forgive them, or either He will punish them, or He will forgive them. And Allah is the one merciful and all-knowing. Subhanallah ta'ala. And Ka'b ibn Malik walked out. And as he was walking, people came to him, Ya Ka'b, are you mad? Why don't you just go to the Prophet and find any excuse, and he will give you the istighfar, do istighfar as he did to everybody else. If the Prophet does istighfar for you, that's it. And they kept talking and talking and talking in his head, shaitan, waswas. Why don't you do, why don't you do? Until he said, Wallahi, I was about to return to the Prophet, and I had the ability, Allah gave me ability to argue and argue my corner. So he could have gone back and find any other excuse. But before he did that, he looked at them, he said, did anyone else say what I said? They said, yeah, there are two other men. He said, who are they? He said, Hilal ibn Umayyah and Murara ibn Rabi'. He said, then whatever will happen to them will happen to me. So that verse, verse 106, is in relation to those three men, Ka'b ibn Malik, Hilal ibn Umayyah, and Murara ibn Rabi'. And they kept staying in Medina. Everything continued. That the Prophet ﷺ gave orders that no one speaks to those three men. No one in Medina is to talk to them, except of course their wives at home. But outside, no one. And Ka'b ibn Malik said, I used to stop, see if they talk to me, say salam, salamu alaikum, to see if anybody would return my salam, and no one would. He said, I entered even the masjid, and I used to say salam to the Prophet ﷺ, and I see him moving his lips. I don't know if he's returning my salam, or is he making dhikr of other sorts. Allahu a'lam. His other two colleagues, Hilal ibn Umayyah and Murara ibn Rabi', they were elderly, they sat at home and they were crying. Because now the Prophet is unhappy with them, they don't know if Allah is going to forgive them, they were crying out of sincerity. He said, I was a young man, so I used to go out to the market, to the masjid, everything as normal, but no one would talk to me. Isolation. As he was in this event, suddenly someone comes from outside Medina shouting, where is Ka'b ibn Malik? Where is Ka'b ibn Malik? And he just said, what's happening to him? They guided to him. He went and he said, I am the messenger of the king of Al-Ghasasina. These are the Christians, the Arab Christians in Sham, in Syria, who were with the Romans fighting. And I have a message for you from the king. He opened the letter. The message was greeting him first, and he said in that letter, we have heard of what your companion has done to you, i.e. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's isolated you, not talking to you. And you are more honorable for this to be done, an honorable man for this to be done to you. And if you come to us, we will raise you and we will be generous to you. Alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullah. Look at the test now. A city, no one talking to him, versus an invitation from the king of another place, come to us. So Ka'b ibn Malik said, Wallahi, I knew that this is a test from Allah, min al-ibtila. And just for the sake that nothing remains in my heart from this letter, I threw it into the burning fire, because they had a tanur where they made their bread. I threw it and burnt it, so I don't have to look at it again and think about it twice. And he told of course, the messenger, I'm not coming. After 40 days of no one talking to them, the Prophet ﷺ ordered that their wives, they stay away from their wives. Do not approach your wives. So they asked, Ya Rasulullah, should we divorce them? And the message came, no, just abstain. So the Ka'b ibn Malik, as I said, he was a young man. He couldn't want to disobey, so he sent his wife to her family. He said, go sit with your family until Allah decides. And everybody came to him, the other two still their wives with them. Why don't you keep your wife? He said, I'm a young man. They are elderly. They need their wives to look after them. I can look after myself. So my wife stays there. And he said after that, of course, I'm saying in Sahih Bukhari, he was narrating the story. He said that I reached a stage, as Allah describes it in the Quran, I felt that the whole world is tight over my head and my chest is so tight on me that people could not say. We know, subhanAllah, sometimes we are feel unwell, or I wouldn't say the word depressed because that's not an Islamic word, but you feel so unwell that you feel your chest is tight. And he was in that position that no one's talking to him. Allah now is Prophet ﷺ and Allah not happy with him. And suddenly he was praying on the roof of his house and he heard someone shouting, glad tiding ya Ka'b, glad tiding ya Ka'b. And he said, I straight away made sujood. Sujood shukr lillah. As he finished, got up, looked, he saw two men coming, one running on his feet and one on his horse. Suddenly the one who was running, they were chasing and racing who would get to him first. The one running saw that the horse, of course, would be faster, so he climbed onto a little hill and started shouting, so he can get the reward for telling him the good news. So he saw him. When he arrived to him, he said, Wallahi, I gave him present the thawb that I have on me. I had nothing apart from this on me, so I gave it to him. And I went to my family and borrowed another thawb so I can go and meet the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as he arrived to the masjid, he saw the Prophet and Sahaba radiallahu anhum, everybody as he's walking, may Allah, congratulations on the, Allah's mercy and forgiveness, congratulations on the forgiveness of Allah. And he said, as I walked, the Prophet was sitting amongst special Sahaba, subhanAllah, the closest to him. One of them stood up and he said, Talha ibn Ubaidillah. He's narrating, said, Wallahi, I will never forget it for Talha ibn Ubaidillah. He stood up from the gathering of the Prophet and came to me and gave me a big hug and told me, glad tidings for the forgiveness of Allah, Ya Ka'b. Look at these little thing, but it leaves in the heart a big effect. And from this, we know that the verses that were revealed were in chapter Surah Tawbah, verses 117, 118. لقد تاب الله على النبي وعلى والمهاجرين والأنصار الذين اتبعوه في ساعة العسرة من بعد ما كاد يزيغ قلوب فريق منهم ثم تاب عليهم إنه بهم رؤوف رحيم. Allah has turned His favor to the Prophet ﷺ, al-Muhajirin and Ansar, who followed him in the time of distress, the hardship, as we said. After some hearts were, part of them were nearly swerved, because some of them were about not to go and then decided and they went. So some of the Sahaba were shaken at that time. But He turned to them also, and unto them Allah is most kind and most merciful. And then وَعَلَى الثَّلَاثَةِ الَّذِينَ خُلِّفُوا, Allah has forgiven the three. الثَّلَاثَةِ الَّذِينَ خُلِّفُوا حَتَّى إِذَا ضَاقَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الْأَرْضُ بِمَا رَحُبَتْ وَضَاقَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ أَنفُسُهُمْ وَظَنُّوا أَن لَّا مَلْجَأَ مِنَ اللَّهِ إِلَّا إِلَيْهِ ثُمَّ تَابَ عَلَيْهِمْ لِيَتُوبُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ. And Allah has also given forgiveness for the three who were left behind. He's also said Ka'b ibn Malik, Hilal ibn Umayyah, and Marar ibn Rabi'. As they were to a degree, they reached a degree where they felt the earth seemed so constrained to them, and they were all space they have were so tight on them, and their souls seemed so straightened to them as well, tight. Even their souls was tight onto them. They perceived that there is no way fleeing from Allah except to Him. There is no refuge from Allah except to Him. Then Allah has forgiven them that they might repent. And Allah is all forgiving or most merciful, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now, as I said, Surah Tawbah can reveal everything, is in part about it. And I didn't do Surah Tawbah like I did with Surah Al-Fatih, because Surah Al-Fatih was a sequence of events, but Surah Tawbah is fragmented events, but it was revealed later together. Now, all this has exposed the hypocrites. As we said, from the time of Prophet ﷺ ordering, prepare for Tabouk, till his return, it was all hypocrites' exposure. But the Prophet ﷺ has had enough from their attitude, their behavior. So he asked people to gather in the masjid in an unusual time. Whoever was there, all gathered. And Prophet ﷺ stood up and praised Allah, and then said, O people, there are amongst you hypocrites. That's it, open now. إِنَّ بَيْنَكُمْ مُنَافِقِينَ. All the Sahaba, subhanAllah, they were all looking around. And he said, so whoever I call his name, let him stand up. Now, that's it. We're going to tell who are the munafiq. But he was telling, of course, the top rank of them. not the lowers. So hopefully, inshallah, the rest might repent. But he named the ones that knew that Allah is not going to forgive because Allah tells him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he started naming them and naming, get up so and so, stand up and walk out, get up so and so. And he named 36 men in the masjid that day. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anh was not there. So he said, I was returning and suddenly I saw this group in the masjid and someone's sitting outside. So I went and said, why are you sitting here? He said, the Prophet ﷺ called me from amongst the hypocrites. He said, may Allah ruin all your day as you ruined mine now. Couldn't you just keep it secret to yourself? You know, even that, he could not just keep it to himself. He had to tell others that I am a hypocrite. SubhanAllah. And Allah, of course, the Prophet ﷺ, after that, he felt that the Sahaba were a bit depressed, tired, and upset with all the events, and now the hypocrites amongst them. And out of the blue, subhanAllah, the Prophet ﷺ said, you will conquer Al-Hira. Hira is a very rich, wealthy, fertile land. And wallahi, as if I can see the gates of the fortress being opened, and I can see the first person to come out is a woman on a light colored mule wearing a black khimar. Can you imagine that? They were not Muslims. What was she wearing? A khimar. And now we say, oh, khimar is from Islam. No, it was something from their attitude that the honorable women would not be exposed like the low-life women. It was part of their pride. And her name is Ash-Shayma bint Nufayl al-Usdiyya. She's the daughter of the leader. And subhanAllah, after all this, one of the Sahabi jumped up, Zakaria ibn Yahya called. He said, Ya Rasulullah, make her mine, or give me that from now. He said, she is yours. Prophet ﷺ gave him from that time that after his death, they will conquer Hira, and this woman is his. So after that, when they went in after that, Khalid ibn al-Walid went to Al-Hira, and they conquered Al-Hira, and as they agreed a truce treaty that they will open the gates and give up or give in to them, suddenly that first person to come out from the gates was this woman. Zakaria ibn Yahya ran and grabbed the mule and said, you are mine, and kept dragging her. And Sahaba there said, what are you talking about? We still haven't done the booties yet to distribute them. He said, no, she's mine. She's an offer from the Prophet ﷺ. He said, are you mad? Prophet ﷺ died years ago. He said, he offered me this. And they went to Khalid. Ya Khalid, look, he's mad, this man. Look what he's saying. So Khalid ibn Walid said, do you have any witnesses? So he said, I looked around and I found two men who were present on the day when the Prophet ﷺ gave me the offer, Muhammad ibn Maslama and Muhammad ibn Bishr. So I brought them to Khalid ibn Walid, and they witnessed that the Prophet ﷺ did give me that offer from then. So Khalid ibn Walid said, we'll fulfill the will of the Prophet ﷺ, and she was his. After surrendering, of course, there's now its difference of booties. Now booties, the king or the son of the king, Abdul Masih ibn Nufayla, he's her brother. Of course, the king died. He's now the leader. He went to Zakaria ibn Yahya. He said, she's my sister, she's a free woman, give it to me. He said, no, wallah, I won't give it to you. This is a present from the Prophet ﷺ. He said, I will give you whatever you ask for, but free her. You can see how simple that man was. He said, I will not give it to her, wallahi, not give it to her. Give her to you, except if you pay me 10 hundreds dirham. So for him, a king, a son of a king said, there's 1,000 dirham, and walk away. The Sahaba came to him, are you mad? Wallahi, if you asked for 100,000, he would have given you. He looked at them strange, said, Subhanallah, are there in the numbers more than the 1000s? That was his limit in numbers, 1,000, 1,000 even, not 1,000, 1,000. So he took what he wanted, subhanAllah. But that's their simplicity, as we say. One man who was not named amongst the hypocrites by the Prophet ﷺ was Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, because he was known. He was fully exposed. He did not need anyone to name him. But now everything got tight onto them. The Prophet ﷺ exposed them. The masjid that they built for their plot has been burned. He got so depressed and he died out of depression. But as he felt he was dying, he asked for the Prophet ﷺ to come to him. So ﷺ, of course, as he is so merciful on his ummah, just went to him. Maybe he might repent and do istighfar and die Muslim. As the Prophet ﷺ was walking in, he heard him saying, "Oh, where are my supporters of the Jews that used to live here? Where are they now to support me and help me?" The Prophet ﷺ walked in and said, "Have I not forbid you from talking about your supporters? You are a Muslim, part of this community." And he said, "O Messenger of Allah, Sa'd ibn Zurara, one of the Ansar, he was, he used to be the supporter and he didn't like them anymore. They didn't benefit him. He's dead. So but they are beneficial to have these people around you." The Prophet ﷺ was so upset by him. He knew that he's definitely not going to be repenting. And Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul said, "Oh ya Muhammad, be patient with me. I'm about to die. Just, calm down. And if and when I die, I want you to use the shrouds to do the kafan, your thawb. And I want you to pray on my janazah." Look how, on top of all what he's done, and he's spoken about his wife Aisha radiallahu anha and triggered the whole slandering effect and then al-ifk, Prophet ﷺ still forgave that and said, "Okay, I will do it." Abdullah ibn Ubay died. They did the kafan with the thawb of the Prophet as he promised him, and stood up to pray on him. Umar ibn Khattab jumped in front of the Prophet, stood in front of him. Said, "O Rasulullah, you do not pray on this man, he's a hypocrite." The Prophet ﷺ said, "O Umar, I will pray, leave me alone." Umar stood back and said, "You are not going to pray on this one, he is a hypocrite." And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Allah gave me the choice. Istaghfir lahum aw la tastaghfir lahum. Do istighfar for them or do not do istighfar. And I prefer to do istighfar for them." So Umar pushed the Prophet ﷺ. He said, "But Allah said, in tastaghfir lahum 70 marratan lan yaghfir Allahu lahum." It's the same ayah. Prophet stopped at one side just for the sake of his mercy, while Umar completed it for him. And that was before, this one was still revealed. So if you do istighfar for them 70 times, Allah will not forgive them. This is the verse is verse 80. Istaghfir lahum aw la tastaghfir lahum in tastaghfir lahum 70 marratan falan yaghfir Allahu lahum ذلك بأنهم كفروا بالله ورسوله والله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين. Whether you ask for them for forgiveness or not ask forgiveness. If you ask forgiveness 70 times, Allah will not forgive them. This is because they have rejected Allah and His Messenger and lost guidance, and Allah will not guide the ones who are rebellious. So when Umar said that, the Prophet ﷺ said, "I will do istighfar to him more than 70 times." Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, mercy in his heart. Excuse me. Now, after this, Umar, alaykum salam wa rahmatullah, Umar ibn Khattab said, "So what's happening?" Said, "Okay, now the Prophet has to say it." Prophet ﷺ prayed and finished. But after that, Allah revealed verses to justify, say that Umar was right, that she should not have prayed. But of course, Allah left the Prophet to his heart and his mercy. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But he said, Allah in chapter again, Surah Tawbah, verse 84 and 85, وَلَا تُصَلِّ عَلَىٰ أَحَدٍ مِّنْهُمْ مَاتَ أَبَدًا وَلَا تَقُمْ عَلَىٰ قَبْرِهِ إِنَّهُمْ كَفَرُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولُهُ وَمَاتُوا وَهُمْ فَاسِقُونَ. Do not ever pray on any of them that dies. That's it, order. Nor stand on their graves. Because after we pray, go in their grave, we bury them and make dua. So do not make dua to them on the grave even. They have rejected Allah and His Messenger and died in the state of rejection. وَلَا تُعْجِبُكَ أَمْوَالُهُمْ وَلَا أَوْلَادُهُمْ إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ أَن يُعَذِّبَهُمْ بِهَا فِي الدُّنْيَا وَتَزْهَقَ أَنفُسُهُمْ وَهُمْ كَافِرُونَ. And do not look at their wealth nor their sons and children. Allah has planned that these will be their punishment in these things in dunya, and their souls will perish and for denial of Allah. So at that time, as I'm saying, Allah has revealed verses, and we know that there are few events where Umar wanted something, the Prophet wanted something else, and Allah revealed something to agree with Umar ibn al-Khattab. One of them was in Ghazwat Badr, which we mentioned, when they had captured, and he said, kill them all. While Abu Bakr and the Sahaba, let's get money in return, let them teach the Muslims. And Allah said, at that stage, at the beginning of Islam, you should kill them. When Islam is stronger, you can decide. Other than that, it was still the beginning. Now again, Umar, Allah is agreeing with him of what he should do with munafiqeen. Do not pray on them. I will stop here, inshallah. We have finished, completed now everything in relation to Ghazwat Tabouk, munafiqeen, and now we're coming towards the end of the 9th Hijri, where I'm saying we'll be talking, inshallah, about the Hajj that was led by Abu Bakr, and following that, it will be the main delegations that came to the Prophet, the main tribes, because every tribe had a story linked to it in our seerah and our, inshallah, what we have in our life. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك جزاكم الله خير.